Okay, hi, hello, and welcome back to my channel. I'm Denisha, and today I'm going to be talking about the books that I read in the past 3-ish months. Before I start, I want to begin with a warning that it is not a lot because I have been in a reading slump, and I am kind of over that reading slump, but I'm still reading at a very slow pace, so it's definitely not anything large. So the first book I read is I'll Be Gone in the Dark by Michelle McNamara. This is about the Golden State Killer. She actually passed away before she could finish writing the book and before the Golden State Killer was caught. But her husband, Patton Oswalt, kind of did an afterword of after everything, and they pieced together some information that she had but wasn't able to write before she passed. So it's a very complete story, is what I'm trying to say, even though she wasn't alive to write the whole thing. I gave this book 4 stars. It was really good. I learned a lot about the Golden State Killer that I didn't know before, because obviously I know about the Golden State Killer, but I didn't know a whole lot about, I didn't know about him or this very specific stuff about his crimes. But this is a very good example of a book that will educate you about that. And also, I really enjoyed that it did have kind of McNamara's point of view on her speculations and how she came to love true crime, and just a lot of her own thoughts and feelings in the book, while also being informative. The second book I read was The Third Twin by C.J. Amalolu. I did a reading vlog for this book, where I read part of it and I read part of another book. So I'll link that below. It's like a 24-hour readathon. It's in the very beginning where I talk about it, but I give this book 2 stars. It was very naive and just not good, and it took forever for things that were on the back of the book to start happening. I think one of the things that's listed on the back of the book is the murder of one of the boys that the twins are going out with, and that doesn't happen until 50% of the way through the book. So it was very slow, the pacing was very off. So I gave it 2 stars because I felt that that's what it deserved. It wasn't very earth-shattering, but I do think it could be good for someone who is 6th to 8th grade and has never read a thriller before. I wouldn't recommend this to anyone who has read an adult thriller because it's just... Then the third book I read is Lock Every Door by Riley Sager. I gave this book 4 stars. I really, really enjoyed it. I also read it in that 24-hour reading vlog. I read the whole thing in that video. So if you want to check that out, again, linked below and in the cards. If I can figure out how to link it in the cards. I said that so confidently, and I don't even know how to do that. But it was really good. There were 2 plot twists, and I really did not see them coming. I couldn't, even if you guessed the first one, you're not gonna guess the second one. I honestly cannot tell you how someone would guess the second one. I really don't know how you could guess what's going on in this hotel. I really don't know. It was just so good, and it was so well written, and it deserves 100% of the hype that it gets. So I highly recommend that if you haven't for some reason picked up Lock Every Door by Riley Sager, that you go ahead and do that. I have heard, however, that it is better than his first couple books. That it's significantly better. So if you are going to start a Riley Sager book, I would recommend starting with Lock Every Door, since it's the one that he's most well known for, I think, because it has so much hype around it. I would recommend starting there instead of starting with his older books, because people say they're not as good. The 4th book I read is I'm Thinking of Ending Things by Ian Reid. This was recently made into a Netflix adaptation. I read the book, and I gave it 3 stars. The reason I gave it 3 stars, even though I didn't particularly enjoy this, is because I can see the literary worth in this book. I just think I'm too dumb to understand it. That's where I think it, where me and this book disconnect is. It's me, it's not the book. So I can see that this book has a lot of literary worth and it has a lot of value. It's just I personally did not enjoy the book. I thought the pacing was very slow, and it's very subtle in the way that it gets under your skin, and there were moments where I was like kind of freaked out, but I couldn't understand why I was freaked out. It's just very subtle in that way. So if you like subtle literary horror, I would go with this, but if you like something that's more in your face, kind of gruesome, this isn't going to be the book for you. The second to last book that I read is Linger by Maggie Stiefvater. This is the sequel to Shiver, or the second book in the Wolves of Mercy Falls series. Sorry, I'm looking at it on my phone. The second book in the Wolves of Mercy Falls series. I love this book. It is an early 2000s book. I think the very last one that like literally no one's read came out in like 2014. And the like third book came out I think in like 2011 or something like that. So they're very mid-2000s paranormal romance, kind of like trashy, like and like dumb, but I really enjoy them. Like they're just fun reads, and they're just entertaining, really. And I gave this book 4 stars. I always listen to the audiobooks of these because I just listen to them while I'm driving. But they're so entertaining, and also, this is also very stupid. If you have the first editions of these books, or like the first few editions, not the newer ones, but if you have the first editions of this book, the text on the inside of it is the color of the cover. So like in Shiver, the text is blue, in Linger it's green, and then in Forever it's red. But since they like redid the covers and stuff, they're not doing that anymore, which is a big letdown. But these books are very good. They're just like kind of very easy, entertaining reads. They're not anything groundbreaking or earth-shattering. They're just books about werewolves. So, and then the last book I read this month. This isn't the only book I read this month. I just didn't say that I read what books I read this month. But the book I read this month, November, was Scythe by Neil Shusterman. I've already read Scythe. I am currently rereading Scythe and Thunderhead, and I'm doing a vlog on it to read The Toll. And I started this because Ashley Knuckles said that like she was reading The Toll, and I was like, okay, I'll read it, I guess, because she was very emotionally damaged after reading it. So I was like, I have to read it now. I'm not even holding up the book. What the heck? Okay, I gave Scythe 5 stars. I think I gave it 5 stars the first time I read it, but it's just such a good book. And like, you could argue that this isn't a book worth rereading because if you remember like the ending, it's like, okay, that's all you really need to know. But I just thoroughly enjoyed this for the second time. And I'm going to say this in my reading vlog, but I'm going to say it here as well. Citra and Rowan are very flat characters, not in the way that they don't change, but in the way that they're not fleshed out. They're very, what's the word I'm looking for? They're just very boring characters. And that would be a problem if Neil Shusterman's writing wasn't so good, and if the world wasn't as entertaining, and if the plot wasn't as entertaining as it is. So I think that everything that goes on around Citra and Rowan, and like their lives are very interesting, but them as people are very boring. I don't know what it is. They just seem very flat. I think a lot of the characters, except Scythe Curie, Scythe Faraday, and Scythe Goddard, are very flat. Besides those 3, all the characters are very boring, underdeveloped characters. That's the word I was searching for. They are underdeveloped. I am currently a little, like 35% of the way through Thunderhead, but I have not finished it yet, so it shall not be in this video. But I just wanted to talk about the fact that Neil Shusterman, his newer books are so good. I've never read like the Unwound series or whatever, but I'm just saying that his newer books that I have read, like Dry and the Scythe series, are very good, and from now on he is an author that I will read because I I think he's such a good writer, and he does so well at building the worlds that he writes, that he's an automatic buy author for me, is what I'm trying to spit out here. So those are all the books I read this month. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please consider liking and giving it a thumbs up. It really helps grow the channel. Or if you liked it so much that you feel inclined to subscribe, I would not object. So thank you for watching. That's all from me. Goodbye.